Hello everybody. My name is Jennifer Parent and welcome to the first speaking practice for IELTS. In this practice, I have various timings according to the realities of taking the test. The important thing to remember in IELTS speaking is to make sure your ideas are clear and that you are speaking fluently and in complete sentences at all times. Also, keep in mind that the speaking interview will last anywhere between 11 and 15 minutes. I am giving the maximum time in this practice test. The amount of time you speak for each question will vary. The important thing is that you keep speaking until the examiner interrupts you with the next question. Focus on clarity and your confidence. Be aware of your posture and your eye contact with the examiner. And most importantly, do not stop speaking until the examiner interrupts you. In part 1, I will give you several seconds for each question. It's possible that you might say something in one answer that accidentally answers the question, but you still have to answer that other question too. Please do not watch the time. Instead, focus on speaking fluently until you are interrupted by the examiner. Focus on giving as many details as possible in your answers. In part 2, I will give you exactly 60 seconds to think about your answer and then 2 minutes to speak. Again, focus on telling your story. Make sure you fill the entire 2 minutes with words and ideas. Do not think about the time. Let the examiner interrupt you. After part 2, I will ask a small related question and give you just a few seconds to respond. Allow the examiner to cut you off in order to go to part 3 in a smooth transition. In part 3, I will give at least 30 seconds for each answer. Be prepared to speak for over 40 seconds for each answer. The examiner will interrupt you according to the time left and according to how much you are speaking. Remember that during the actual speaking test, the examiner may ask additional questions during part 3 that are related to something specific that you had previously said. For this reason, if you make up a story or invent it, you may be asked more about this lie in an additional question during part 3, so be prepared. Remember to have your note-taking materials ready for part 2, so I recommend pausing now if you haven't already gotten that paper and pencil. So here we go. Good luck. First, let's talk about where you live. Where are you currently living? What do you like best about your neighborhood? What is one thing you would like to change about your neighborhood? Now let's talk about chocolate. How often do you eat chocolate? And when was the last time that you ate chocolate? And did you eat chocolate more or less when you were younger? Do you think that you will eat more or less chocolate when you are older? Now, let's talk about being polite. Is it important to be polite in your country? What do people do when they have to be polite in your country? And what are some ways in which adults teach children to be polite? And tell me about the last time you had to be very polite. Thank you. Now I will give you a topic and you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak about it. Before you speak, you will have 1 minute to think about what to say. You may take some notes if you wish. Are you ready? You will be given paper and a pencil, but please do not write on the booklet. All right. Remember that you have 1 to 2 minutes to speak, so don't worry if I stop you. I will tell you when the time has finished. Please begin speaking now. Thank you. And how often do you have meals like this? Thank you. We have been talking about a meal that you enjoyed, and I have a few more general questions to ask about that. First, let's talk about restaurants. Do you prefer going to restaurants or eating at home? And what kinds of restaurants do you like to go to? Do you think that most people would rather have meals cooked for them or cook for themselves? Finally, let's talk about healthy eating. How easy is it to eat healthy in your country? And do you usually choose food based on taste or health? Why? And do you agree that it is easier to eat unhealthy food than healthy food? Why is that? Thank you. That is the end of the IELTS exam.